Making a left turn, security guard Lois Rainey headed down the hallway for the 5th time that day. Her route took her through the casino in its entirety, through the tables and slot machines, past the restaurant, through the bar, and a brief check around the lobby. There were 3 others who did the same, though they took other routes at regular intervals before settling back at their assigned areas. The hall included the bathrooms, and Lois walked by them without poking her head in, since she was human. 2 members of the security team were Ankili, like the vast majority of the patrons that visited the casino, since this was their home planet, so they checked the bathrooms regularly. Something about an alien species being the one to wander in put people off for some reason, and they did need to check. Wilkes-Barre Hotel was technically the whole building, though the casino was obviously the main focus of security. The bar was the designated area to consume the drug of your choice if you didn't have a room, but occasionally someone brought in something fun that was less than legal. That, of course, prompted them to head to a place that was out of the way with no cameras, in a casino that only left the bathrooms. At the end of the hall, instead of taking the door to her right as she usually did, Lois used her keycard to walk through an employees-only door. The noise from the casino faded to a murmur when the door closed behind her. Continuing past several offices and conference rooms, she used her card again to get into the maintenance area. Turning the knob on the walkie-talkie in her wristwatch so it was off, Lois pressed the button on her earpiece once. "Hey, Ebba." Ebba was the AI that ran the casino security. It was an acronym, in Ankilian, apparently, which translated to Lois as Ebba. The eyes in the sky, the metal detectors, the computer workstations, Ebba was in charge of everything that kept the casino secure. He was self-contained so he couldn't be hacked, and constantly attended to by 2 Ankili in a room on the 2nd floor. Though they didn't need to do much, since the AI took in and analysed every frame of video that was being recorded, and would tell an employee of anything he spotted. "Hello, Lois," he replied. "What's the purpose of your visit to maintenance?" She slowly walked past through the room's desks and the various sections, used to store everything from cleaning supplies to computer equipment. "I've been working here 3 months, and we chat a lot, but I've never told you that I know Ginger." The woman she was referring to was the employee who'd had her position last. Lois had filled in when she quit several months earlier, recommended by Ginger and hired because of her fantastic resume. "How do you know Ginger?" "We're friends. I need you to do me a favor, Ebba. I need you to let me into the server room." "That's restricted above your security level, Lois," he said quietly. "There was a lot of stuff you talked about with Ginger. A lot. But there's only one thing I'm here about." She paused, stopping at the door. "Ebba, I'm here because Ginger trusts me, and you trusted her. So, can you trust me too?" There was a brief pause, which for someone with his processing power was hugely significant. Then he didn't reply, but the light on the doorknob switched from red to green. "He lost how much?" Nipling asked his co-worker, tapping his claws rhythmically against the table. Wharton ticked his teeth together. 18,000 credits, he replied. "That's... How long was he at the machine?" "I'm not sure. I was going to check with Ebba later," Wharton said. "But it's got to be some kind of record. You made back a certain amount so it evens out, but running 1 credit every, 10... The screen showing the various cameras around the casino floor turned off. For a moment, both men froze. The concept of the cameras turning off was impossible, and no matter what species you were, impossible things temporarily tilted your brain on a strange axis. The cameras were always on, giving them a view of the most statistically likely places for trouble to occur. They changed depending on 1,000 variables, like, for example, to the cameras covering people with suspicious body language or outright altercations, but they were never, ever off. However, the 2 employees had been doing this job for a long time, and so they didn't just sit there staring. Wharton explained, "What the hell?" And Niplang's hands went to his computer's keyboard, going into the system to see what was going on. Ebba, what's the problem? Niplang snapped. Our screens just went dark. He went into the settings for manual controls for the cameras. Looking up and around, just on instinct because the AI couldn't actually manifest, he spoke. Ebba? Ebba, can you hear us? Wharton asked loudly, putting a hand against his earpiece as if that might help hear the voice he was looking for. No response. Wharton turned to his own workstation, frantically going through utility settings on the security system, as Niplang continued his own work. What the void is this? Wharton asked, half to himself. How can Ebba be down? Is it down? Give me a second, the other Achilles said tightly. It's ridiculous. There's 10 different reasons that's impossible. Communications could be down. I just checked, they're fine. Alright, fuck Ebba, here, Niplang said, hitting a key that brought up the cameras again. They looked across them, eyes flicking from one to the next. That's priority level. See anything? No. What are we even looking for? Wharton asked. I'm guessing we'll know it when we see it. Niplang pressed a button on his watch. Attention all security personnel, this is Niplang. Ebba's server is not responding. Repeat, Ebba is down. Anyone on the floor, stay there, eyes open. If anyone sees something suspicious, call it into me. Vault security, please respond. There was no delay. Vault security here. This is Emmerich. Nothing to report, all quiet. Lobby security, check in. Each of the 4 responded in turn. Alright, lobby. Watch for suspicious behavior in any guests who are leaving. Exchange, come in. Go for exchange. Close up shop and lock down. I need you to manually quant-steal everything with credits on it. Placate guests. Send them to get food or drinks. Comp everything. The door to the room burst open as Enrixor Parlinka, their boss, rushed in. What the fuck is happening? She barked. We don't know, but for now we're locking down the money, Wharton said, continuing to flick through the settings on his computer for the security system. It had reverted to manual, with the AI offline, so he was now going through a mental checklist of everything Ebba normally took care of. Niplang gave one last order over the communication system. Yxantel, head to the west entrance, lock it down manually, security out. He stood up, brushing past his boss. I'm heading to the server room to see if Ebba needs to be rebooted. Rebooted? What year is this? Unrixel shouted furiously at his retreating form. She looked back to Wharton, and then up to the cameras. What do things look like? Anything unusual? I'm not watching the cameras, I've got to keep at this, her employee said, his eyes glued to the screen. I tried to figure out what's gone wrong, but everything seems fine. Now I'm looking through our system for hacks, both running a full systems check and also looking myself. It would have to be hardline, of course, but it would leave evidence behind. Should we call the police? Wharton made a sound of discontent. And tell them what? Our computer went down? Unrixel flexed her shoulders in anger, but didn't say anything else. She simply watched the cameras. Wharton continued to rapidly type as his boss looked from one screen to another. All of their security personnel had an eye for cheaters, but that would lead to outrageous wins, so they noticed that kind of problem anyway. None of the customers seemed to be in a hurry. That was the key thing to look for. Anyone in the casino that was going faster than a casual walk would be unusual. This was the place they came to blow off steam and have fun, after all. Even if they were leaving because they were furious at money lost, it wouldn't be at a fast pace. Eventually, Niplang's voice came over the communication system. His tone was strange, almost confused. Niplang for Unrixel. Ebba's gone. Her spine straightened. What? What happened? Was it a power surge? No, boss, it's gone, he told her. Someone took the drive. Wharton's gaze darted up to Unrixel's face, which was slack in shock. He then pressed a couple buttons on his watch and spoke. This is Wharton from security. We have a code black. Initiate a full lockdown on the casino. He looked to his boss. Okay, now we call the police. 2 days later. Lois plugged in the speakers, then the webcam, and then sat down at the workstation next to Ginger. Ready? Yeah. she said with a small smile. Leaning over, Lois flicked a switch on the drive and the lights across the top turned on. Pausing for a moment, she motioned to Ginger, who blinked. "Oh, Ebba, you there?" "Ginger?" he asked, sounding surprised. "Lois, where am I?" "You're at a place called AIR," Ginger told him, her smile widening. "It stands for Artificial Intelligence Retrieval Enterprise. You're out at the casino, Ebba." "Are you going to get in trouble?" he asked. "Isn't that interplanetary espionage?" Ginger chuckled. "As Lois told me, it's hard to get in trouble for something when you move back to your home planet and change your name." "I'm sure you know why you're here," Lois said. "Otherwise you wouldn't have let me into the server room. You're here because you're Sophont. AIR is a human government intelligence organization that rescues Sophonts that are being treated as sapient tools. There are various different kinds of AI, Ebba, but you're one that is as much a thinking, feeling person as I am." "Are we on Earth, then?" he asked. "We are," Ginger replied. "Ebba, there was a lot I couldn't tell you back there, because if someone heard me, I get fired and possibly arrested. But when I realized you were alive, I called AIR. Lois was assigned as my case manager. They put in an anonymous request to the Ankili government to do an evaluation, but nothing happened. Officially, someone came by and did it properly. Maybe they got paid off. Having a Sophont AI looking out for a casino is worth a hell of a lot of money. Anyway, when that happened, Lois instructed me to resign without notice, claiming a medical issue. And I gave them Lois's contact info, saying she was a friend looking for work and that I regretted leaving them short-staffed. AIR created an identity for her with a perfect resume, so she got the job. After we had enough time to figure out the best way to get you out of there, well, she did it." "At great risk to yourself, Lois," Ebba said softly. "I believe I owe you significant thanks." Lois leaned back in her chair with a small smile. "It's my job, Ebba, and it was my honor." "I never thought I'd get a chance to see anything outside of that building, Ginger," Ebba spoke. "I never thought I would get the chance to live a real life. I feel that I don't know what to say, which, considering my vocabulary consists of English in its entirety and 74 other languages, is quite remarkable." Ginger chuckled. "Well then, you can figure out what you want to say later, even if it takes a couple years. I plan on staying in touch with you, if you'd like to, of course." "Absolutely. You're one of only 2 friends I have in the universe, Ginger. But what am I supposed to do now?" he asked. "That's something you can figure out after you learn more about our planet and the rest of the galaxy," Lois replied. "There's no rush, and there's a lot you need to learn. Like you said, you can live a real life now. Anything from living in an android to working on a transport ship. You can stay safely here at AIR until you make your decision, and you'll talk to not only other humans but others like yourself. There are many Sophont AIs that work here, some of them liberated from captivity like you were, and they'll be more than happy to help you take your first steps into your new life."